Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today we have a quick review impressions of a knife that I've had in my collection for a little bit. It's one that I've very much enjoyed, but I'm just not carrying. It's a really cool knife. This is the Benchmade Narrows. Now I know some of you guys are going to have a lot of thoughts on this, but let's get into the review and impressions on this knife. All right, so we're looking at the Benchmade Narrows. This is made by Benchmade. It's one of their kind of a sort of a revision on the axis lock sort of thing that they've done. It's really cool. The precision, the milling on this is, I think it's going to be very, it kind of explains why it's pricey. And some people don't like the price of it. I get it. You may already be leaving a comment going, oh my God, that's too much. I know even Metal Complex and other people were very much against it. I get it. Now, I will say, if you paid full price for this knife, you didn't look around hard enough. There's lots of places you can get a pretty good deal on this knife, where it seems to be more reasonable in the realm of where I would buy it, right? And so I did that. I didn't get some of the great deals that are out there, but I did get a good deal on it. And so, but here's the thing. I didn't carry this in my collection. And so I have a rule, any knife that I have, if I don't carry, I do a catch and release. And so this knife will eventually be sold. So it's going to be something I'm going to put up for sale with a bunch of knives. So, but I still love it. I still think it's good. And so I'll give you a hint. It's going to be a positive feedback, but it's all based on price. So, you know, there's a condition there. All right. So first of all, the knife name is called the Narrows. Obviously it's the Narrows because it's very narrow. It's very thin. The knife manufacturer is Benchmade. It runs on cage ceramic ball bearings. The designer, I don't recall seeing a designer name. And if you guys remember, if I'd remember to look and there's a designer, I'll try to put it here. Maybe it'll be in the description. If not, maybe one of you guys who does know, you'll maybe post it in the comments. I would appreciate that. It does run on cage ball bearings, which is very surprising, but it's very smooth, very elegant. So the materials are, this is titanium. The clip was a steel clip, and I do have the original steel clip still. It was originally, I replaced it with a Lynch clip. So here's the original steel clip. I believe it's DLC coated as well, but it is steel. And I'm just, you know, you have all this titanium. Why do you have a steel clip? It doesn't make any sense. So I went with a Lynch clip that's titanium. This is their blacked out version, which is very close to DLC, I'm told, and it holds up as well. And it matches nicely. And so I like titanium because I tend to bend my clips. But when I had the intention of carrying this regularly, just have too many knives. And I gotta move some of my knives, my collection. I gotta get to somewhere I can really, the ones I carry and enjoy carrying, I will carry. And I really want to make sure that people who want, you know, there's a lot of these knives maybe other people would enjoy. So anyways, titanium scales, they are milled really well. If you look at the inside, there is actually milling weight relief on both the outside and inside, and they are uber thin. That is a lot of precision, a lot of tolerances to be able to get that kind of level. You have two standoffs that look like they're coated as well, like DLC as well, polished. The blades is DLC coated on here as well, and you can see that on here. Let's see. I don't know if my fingerprints got all over it there. Since I last had this out, I was looking at it and I touched the blade, and I'll clean it off so you don't see, because the thing about polished DLC, this is pretty polished DLC, is that your fingerprints show up very easily. So very nicely done. Got very small thumb studs that work well with the thinness of this knife. Now this is an axis lock, but the springs are different. They're not the Omega springs. They're sort of like wound up springs. People say it's like a clock spring or something. Works really nicely, really nicely. There's no skiffs yet that fit this. You could probably buy a set of skiffs, but you need to get some washers with there. And that might work if you had some washers, and then you could put skiffs in there. But that is up to you, right? Obviously, if you were willing to go that far. There's one that's too big and there's one that's too small. You'd have to get the smaller one, and then you would have to get, I'd say, a set of steel washers, the right size. Beautifully centered when I got it. I mean, just really nice action. The axis lock is really wonderful. The axis lock is the crossbar lock. Obviously, Benchmade patented it. They're the first ones that came out with it. And it's been recently, the patent ran out. So a lot of people have been doing the crossbar. So that's really cool. It looks like T6 is down here. That hasn't changed. T10 right here, that hasn't changed, which I still wish that was bigger. But I get it with the thinner, you know, screws and stuff. Maybe that makes more sense. It really takes two screws. You could put maybe a third screw in there, but it only came with two. I think that looks nice. Nice deep pocket carry clip. The action is beautiful. Opening and closing. M390 blade steel on this one. I don't know what the heat treat is. I know Benchmade supposedly, they're okay. I haven't had any issues with it. Sharpness is retained for me as far as I have a bug out that's M390. I've had no issues with that. When I've been cutting paper with this just to try it, it's been fine as far as that. I haven't resharpened this. I have stropped it just to kind of make sure the edge remains crazy sharp, which it does. It's really nice. It's got a nice swedge on top. It is a beautiful drop point. It's got the typical Benchmade butterfly there. And then, of course, it has the ridiculous website, which you shouldn't have on there, and the M390. A lot of more billboarding than I would like on a blacked out DLC blade, but hey, it is Benchmade, so that's what they do. Let's see here. How does it open and close? Obviously, you have the thumb studs. They work well. You can also middle finger reverse flick it with the DLC coating on there and the action on this thing. You can put your finger in there and easily reverse flick it, both left and right-handed. And that's nice. So you got bonus. And then, of course, you have the crossbar lock or the axis lock. That works as well, so that's nice. And it does. It flicks out really nicely, and it does close pretty nicely. Now, I mean, this is not the strongest lock, but it's a super thin blade, so, it works nicely with the weight of the blade and the weight of the knife. It is super thin. Now, people say they bend it and squeeze it. I haven't done it, and I don't see any distortion on there. I think to be able to see any sort of bending and stuff, you're gonna bend the titanium. I don't want to do that. So, but that seems like a lot of pressure because this is pretty good titanium. So yeah. How does it close? Obviously, it is the crossbar lock. You drop it and it goes down, and the action, beautiful out of the pocket, especially since it's on cage bearings. That's really nice. Really nice. And I like the blade. I like everything together. So let's get the weight on this guy, because this is the most ridiculous part of it, right? When we get the weight of this thing to see how heavy this really is. So this is where it gets nuts. We're at 2.4 ounces. Yeah, 2.4 ounces. So that is pretty stinking light, if you ask me, especially for the length of this blade. So let me get my my little measuring tape out here. So we're looking at a knife that is right at exactly 8 inches. You've got a handle grip that's right at 4 inches. If you use the back part, you sort of get finger choke up a little bit. It gives you about 4.5 inches. So I have large hands with big meaty fingers. So this would be an extra large hands with regular size fingers, double extra large hands with smaller fingers. If you have extra large or double extra large hands with big meaty fingers, you're going to use that third part, but it'll still work over there. You can sort of choke up, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's not super easy. It's better for like a pinch grip if you're trying to cut. So that's that. So that might be also important for you as far as concerns with the length of it. The overall blade length going from tip to the back is about 3 3/8, 3 and 5, 3 3/8, right? So it's right there at about 3 3/8. I would say the overall cutting length from the tip to the back is about, I want to say 3 3/8 as well. So there you go. That is the overall cutting length. Now, getting to the blade stock thickness, this is where it gets really interesting. And it's pretty crazy. All right, so we're looking at a blade that's 79 thousandths of an inch. Maybe if you round it, 8 thousandths of an inch, right? And if I squeeze in here, can I get, yeah, maybe 79 thousandths of an inch. All that matters depending on where I grab it. 80 thousandths of an inch or 79 thousandths of an inch. That is crazy, crazy thin. So, all right. Knife category. Well, it all depends on, do you pay the regular retail price? And if you do, this is definitely going to be in the higher end, absolutely 100%. Even if you find it at a good discount, I think it'd still be in the higher end. It runs for $540, I believe, for the DLC, $522 for the non-DLC. Not a bad upcharge for DLC if you relative to the non-DLC. However, you could probably find this somewhere, get 10% off. Sometimes there's places that have it on sale. I've seen it for $450, $460. $400 even. So if you find it for $450 to $400 to $450, I think this is, I'm going to look at this knife in the realm of $400 to $450 because that's where I paid my realm, and I'm gonna regard that knife with that cost. At $540, I have a different perspective on the knife. At $540, I'm going to say no. Okay, I'm going to be a little more cautious and a little more non-embracing of the knife. But at around $400 to $450, I think this knife is great. At $400, it's really good. At $450, it's definitely, if you're a fan, I wouldn't be reluctant to get it. But if you pay more than that, if you pay $475, $500 over the $540, look around, okay? Check out the secondary market. Now this is going to go on the secondary market because I'm going to sell it. I just haven't carried it. I had it in my collection. Really liked it. I loved flicking it, you know, in my case and everything. But again, I have a rule: catch and release. If I don't carry it, and I don't regularly go to it, it's going to be a catch and release, and that's what this is going to be. So this one, I will say $450. That's the knife category that we're really in. If you pay the $540, it changes everything that comes after this, right? All right, so just so you know that. All right, the purpose of this knife, EDC hard use, collection piece, absolutely a collection piece. Those of you guys who love Benchmade, and every Benchmade is a collection piece, right? I get it. Some of you love Benchmade, and I understand that. I like Benchmade. That was my first premium knife I ever got into, so I have a little affinity, a little affection for Benchmade. My first one was a Cabela's special. It was a mini barrage with D2 steel. I got it on sale at Cabela's, and I loved it, and that's what got me into nicer knives and kind of got me into the bug, if you will. Hard use? Yeah, hard use relative for a thin knife. This is a very thin knife. This is a great slicer, an incredible slicer. Beautiful for cutting through everything. I mean, here, just so you can get an idea of how great of a slicer this is. I have a little piece of paper here, but this is just beautiful, right? This is going to slice all day long, all day long. And if you wanted to, you could even do a little curly cues if you want to. And if I can do it just right with the right pressure, we can just, I mean, it's a beautiful. It's going to slice. So blade shape geometry is very much in favor of our slicer. Is this going to be one you can pry things open and get screws? No. If you do that, how can I say this nicely? That's dumb. I don't want to call you dumb, but what you're doing is dumb. For as much as you would spend on this knife, don't do that. There's better tools. Get a pry bar. That's why I carry a pry bar. Matter of fact, I carry my Lynch 1.5, I forget what it's called, but it's the 3M steel. I love this thing. I use this all the time. Really great tool. So let your knife be a knife. Let it cut. That's what it's meant to be, right? So I would say hard use as far as cutting into boxes, into letters, into cases of water, mulch. Yeah, absolutely, all of that. Now, some people might not for the price ever do that, but it's absolutely EDC friendly. And with the DLC, I think it's awesome. Overall design, handles, close texture. I like the knife. If you can get past the price, if you can not focus on that and get so tunnel vision and only see the price and you can't see anything else, you've already lost it in this review. You're not going to follow me here. You might as well have stopped the video, and you probably already comment, which I'm going to get a bunch of comments about. It's overpriced. I'd never pay this. Ridiculous. I get it. I've heard you tons of times. I've done some shorts. It seems like every time I post it, I get it. And I respect your opinion. That is your choice to do with your money. Absolutely, 100%, every time. But I have a rule in my channel is that if you're going to have a disagreement, you're going to disagree, you have to say why. Well, what's the point? You know, right? We can't just be disparaging to other people. We can't be disrespectful. We always have to kind of like, I don't agree with you. Why? Okay. Or I think, well, I don't think that's a smart thing. You know, for me, I would not do that. That's fine. Why? Tell us why. You know, because sometimes maybe your perspective, let's say this is not a great knife for me because I work here and here and this knife is too thin or whatever. It's not going to work. It's hard use. That's a valid point, right? That's a valid point. Or for you could say, this is a perfect knife because I need something super, super thin and this is exactly what I need. That's a good point. People would want to know that, right? I think there's value in hearing stuff like that. So that's my point on that. So overall design, I like it. I think it's beautifully chamfered. There's no sharp edges. Everything works wonderfully. I can do a grip test. Everything is nice. It's clean. The clip here, I mean, I wish it wasn't this goofy thing. I wish it was a loop, but you know, it's fine. It is what it is with Benchmade, right? I love the grip. It's wide enough. You can get a nice grip control on here. It feels solid. I don't feel any, there's no blade lockup. There's no pivot play. There's no detent. Well, you don't really have detent lash because it's a crossbar lock. But so that part is fine, right? All that stuff works really, really well there. The opening is really nice. The flipping is really nice. And you've got that bonus flick, like I said, and the axis lock works really nice. All that stuff works great. There is a little lanyard place. So if you like that and you're a lanyard fan, rejoice, right? Fully deep pocket carry clip, almost completely hidden. I like that. That is with both the Lynch clip and I believe the original clip, right? So that's nice. Overall feel, it feels premium. It feels premium. As thin as it is, it's light. And when you first get that, it feels weird. And if you've not held a really high-end knife, this feels gold class, okay? But very light gold class, like really well milled out and done precision. This is not cheap steel or plastic or resin. This is aluminum, DLC coated nicely, beautifully. Blade is well DLC coated as well. So I think there's a lot of pluses in that regard. So, you know, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. I like the action. It's smooth. It opens and closes exactly like you'd want a crossbar lock or axis lock to work. So the fidget factor, well, I mean, this one really has some nice bonus fidget factor. Sometimes you get the crossbar locks and you can't really get to the blade, but in this case, it's very nice, very convenient, and it's really easy to use, solidly easy to use. I don't have any problems. It's not, you know, sort of a hit or miss. The thumb studs are perfectly sized for the thinness of the blade, absolutely easy to deploy, no issues whatsoever, left and right hand, which is nice. And it is left hand, right hand tip up only, reversible, so left and right hand people can carry it if they want in their left pocket, right pocket. That's awesome. So all of that works really great. And so that I'm going to give this a 6 on the fidget factor, because you do the thumb studs well. You have bonus flick that's like almost like a whole other deployment, like a fuller. It really does work well. It's flat enough, it's thin enough, it's easy to get to. And then the axis lock is just beautifully solid. I mean, that's easy to work, no problems whatsoever. So my fidget factor out of 10 is 6 out of 10. So how's the fidgety goodness? I gotta be honest with you, you're gonna hate this. And I'm not a fanboy. Trust me, I'm not a Benchmade fanboy. I am not, okay? But I will give it a 100. This is a 100. You executed this absolutely perfectly well. This, if you're going to execute a blade like this, I did strop it, so you have a little strop material on the edge there. I just realized that. Sorry. But you're going to execute a blade like this. You're going to do what you're doing with this. You really want to make sure you hit it, and you hit it solidly. Fidget factor, goodness, fidgety goodness, 100%. Absolutely. Is it recommended? Absolutely, it's recommended. Yeah, it's recommended at the $400 to $450 price. Right? I'm highly recommending it at $400. You can find it that way. $450, I'm still recommending it. You just got to love it, right? Anything above that, you either absolutely have to have a particular one and you're a super fan, and that you're going to buy it anyways, no matter what. So there's no question, right? Or you don't know what the pricing should be, and you'll get very disappointed afterwards, and you might get angry and bitter. But hopefully you watch this and you look around and you find a secondary market, or you find a good sale price somewhere. Check some of the affiliates that I have down in my description. Some of them actually have a good price on these guys. Some of them will have 10% off if they have them in stock, right? So that's what I would recommend to look for. So 10% off a $540 knife is $54 off. That immediately puts it into the $475 range, which is more bearable if you really like it, right? If you minimally really like it, I think you should look for 10% off. Now, you can find it even better if you're patient, unless you have to have it right now. You could probably find it for $450. You might even find it for $400, $405 or something like that, right? So at least that's how it was as of this video. Obviously, prices are always subject to change, right? They could quit making it and the price could go up. It could be like the Anthem was, and it becomes super collectible. But anyways, I like it. I like it a lot. I think it's a great knife for the right price. And if you do that, I think you'll be very happy. I think the design of it is outstanding. It really is. It's executed really, really well. If you just objectively look at the execution of this knife, it is phenomenal. People will say, well, it looks cheap in this. No, this is aesthetically pleasing geometry on here. And if it's so easy to put the glasses on and totally look at this in a skewed manner because you look at the price and you're angry at Benchmade. I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, it's very easy to do that. But if you try to be objective and just look at the quality of the design, it's a pretty nice knife. It really is for what they do. Now, if super thin is not for you, then this is not for you. But if you like super thin, dang, they did a good job on this. They really did. They really did. And you gotta give credit where credit is due. Okay. Now, pricing is ridiculous. You know, you got to look around, and if you find the correct pricing, you look around, it's bearable at one level, and then it's really nice at another level. Like I said, if you find the 405 pricing, which I've seen it a few times, this is a great knife. Absolutely highly recommended. I think you'd be happy. I think it's a fair price, $405 for this knife. Some people say, wow, I think it's $300, $200. Okay, I respect your opinion, but looking at manufacturing, looking at tolerances, looking at how difficult it is to CNC and lathe titanium with this sort of thinness and tolerances, because you're milling out on the front and the inside, that is super thin, right? To mill this tolerances, to get it so perfectly and then come together, be perfectly centered with a perfectly centered bladed M390, then with DLC, all this stuff, there's a lot involved here. You may not understand all that's involved. You know, you can ask somebody who gets into making knives for the first time, and then they start understanding it, and they're like, whoa, there's a whole lot. I mean, I see a lot of these guys who do their first knife, and then all of a sudden they find out, oh, to have that little extra chamfer there, that's a lot more, because that's more time on the machine. Oh, to mill this out, it's more like to weight relief on the inside, that costs money. To have these little designs, that's time on the CNC. And if you look, there's that on the inside, and there's that on the outside. That's time on the CNC, going both and forward and back. You know, to get that perfect pivot and get nice and centered like that, to get that perfect geometry in there, to get these little screws to assemble smaller, all of this tolerances, and then to have it just dead nut center, that's a higher tolerance, right? So just my 2 cents. We can agree to disagree, but I will tell you, it's unreasonable to think that this is the same process that they make a Deca with. This is the same process that they make a bug out with. This is the same process that they make an Osborne with. It is not. It is not. And I don't know how else to tell you except for you to go and see, look at machining and understand how it works, because it's not. It's just not. Okay. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. So let's do a nice little close look up here. Beautiful kind of blade to get a close, because some of you guys who really are here, you're probably very interested and you'd like the knife, and you're like, oh, you know, if I can find it for that price, yeah, that does sound more reasonable. Maybe you want to see, is this a pretty knife? It really is. It's very gorgeous. And here is the scale. You can see the beautiful milling all the way around. And you can see inside. Can you see the little CNC, the machining, the weight relief in there? And then you can see, you know, the screws, everything nice and DLC. And here you have the standoffs in the back that's beautifully polished as well. That's really nice. And let's look at the back part here. Then you've got the clip. Now this is the Lynch Pocket Titanium clip. I do have the regular steel clip, obviously, still for it. So some people are going to want to be traditional. If I carried this, I'd probably bend the steel clips. That's why I got the titanium clip. Love all this. Just really nicely done, perfectly tolerant. If you look at this, they're just nice and centered. They're not bowed or anything weird, which sometimes happens, and not high quality, you know, super thin milling. Because so if you didn't know, when you heat this up and you're milling it, sometimes it can warp the steel. It can kind of anneal the steel. It can make it warp and stuff. Just like if you heat treat a thin blade, they tend to you have more risk of warping. Okay, more risk of, if the austenites and the crystals and carbides and everything that's in there isn't perfectly aligned, it can start to warp, and so you might have more, you know, things that fail of quality control. So that increases your costs. And a beautiful milling, beautiful DLC on here, nice jimping. Everything works really nicely, and perfectly sized washers. So I mean, thumb stud, sorry. All right. Yeah, I like this knife a lot. I just didn't carry it, and I have so many other knives that I carry, and I still think it's fantastic. I'm still a fan of it at the right price. That's my little caveat, at the right price. So there you go. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you have a different thought, different perspective on this knife. If you're not a fan, let me know as well. But tell me why. Don't just say, oh, I hate Benchmade. Benchmade's overpriced. Everything's terrible. We all know that. That's why you look around for a good price, right? I mean, those who pay full price, I'm like, Like when I bought my Osborne S90V with the carbon fiber scales, I didn't pay full price for that when I modded it out. Trust me, I didn't. I looked around. I didn't pay full price for a bug out. Trust me, I looked around. So, you know, that's just my 2 cents on there. If it comes to a point when you can't get those sale prices and they're just absolutely overpriced, well, then I won't buy it. That's just what it comes down to, right? That's just my 2 cents on there. So, all right, love to hear your thoughts on that. Love to hear your perspective on that. So that is my thoughts on this one. Hey, if you found this content fun, interesting, worthwhile, or informative, would you please consider hitting the like button down below? And if you like this video, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button as well. Subscribing and liking the videos really helps out the channel. Allows the channel to produce more content, do more things, ultimately do more things for you guys. So thank you to everyone who watches the videos, who watches the live streams, who's part of the content, who comments. I appreciate you so very much. If you haven't already, hit that notification button as well down below so you can be notified of future content like this video. And a big thank you to my channel members. And as a way for me to say thank you to channel members, I do 2 special things. I do an exclusive once-a-month channel members giveaway. It's usually not a budget knife. It's a much nicer knife because you guys have been so generous with the memberships. I want to be generous back. So that's the first thing. Second of all, if you're a brand new channel member, I do like to mail a channel sticker to every one of my new channel members. So email me with your name and address so I can mail you a channel sticker. If you've been a channel member for a while and you've never asked for a sticker and you're a member now, or if you were a member before and became a member again and you never asked for a channel sticker, and you're a member right now, email me as well so I can mail you a channel sticker. It's my small way to say thank you. I appreciate you guys. And a lot of times you channel members, you allow me to do extra things that I didn't think I could do at this point in the channel. So thank you to you guys. Everyone's a big part of this channel, and I appreciate you all. And if you haven't already, check me out over on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and a great week. Bye.